Growing up, I never thought I'd be playing the Blaster Master series into my 30s, but here I am heading out once again with a frog and a tank. Blaster Master 03 continues the adventure of Jason and Eve, but raises the stakes higher than ever before. There's a lot on the line in this entry, and given that it's said to be the finale, you can expect it to be the most difficult. Blaster Master 03 opens with Jason and Eve returning to planet Sophia, attacked, and then thrown into prison. However, Jason isn't one to waste time and takes the opportunity to bust out and man G-Sophia, which has been stripped of its upgrades. This leads him to Kane, who reveals that Eve is in a bad place of corruption as the mutant cells attacked her body. If it's discovered that she is the cause of the sudden mutant invasion on planet Sophia, then Kane will have no choice but to kill her. However, Eve escaped, so Jason sets off to find her, following a radar that leads him to her position. What's discovered is that her DNA is somehow affected by this radar, which leads Jason to simply visit them all. Still, this is all tied into the progression as areas are blocked off unless you have the proper upgrades. Traversal isn't limited to only seeking necessary upgrades though, as players can challenge themselves through optional dungeons that waiver a risk-reward system. Each floor tests your skills, and you can either leave at the end or continue to the next floor. The floor is capped off with a slight upgrade to speed and other various stats. These are not procedurally generated, but you'll lose everything and be sent back if you die on the last floor. But I will say that the opening of the game is probably the worst for longtime fans because G-Sophia is back to basic movement skills. However, some really cool upgrades are just waiting around the corner, introducing unique ways to take on enemies and traverse through the levels. This is a hardcore action platformer, and from early moments, you'll find out that this game is not going to take it easy on you. Instant death traps, numerous enemy types, and puzzle-esque dungeons stand in your way of finding Eve. One of the more unique aspects of Blaster Master 03 is the dimensional portals that you can enter, using the new VRV system. These appear all over the map and send you to an alternate reality where Jason can't survive for very long. If you ever are stuck in the game, you should probably jump into one of these portals to find your way through. I felt like it was an episode of Kamen Rider as Jason transforms into a more powerful suit that can withstand this dimension. It ultimately gets the most out of each level as you can use this mode as another means of navigating dungeons. Controlling G-Sophia isn't always easy. Sooner or later you'll acquire G-Sophia SV, but controlling it is not equivalent to an Italian plumber or a blue bomber. It's a tank. It took me a while to adjust to these floaty controls, but then you can unlock an upgrade where Spider Legs can be equipped and things become more manageable. In fact, bosses in the game typically leave players with upgrades related to their attacks. They are needed to progress the adventure, but nothing is ever that easy. Enemies in the game are constantly evolving to piss you off. They will do everything from taking your energy to swarming around you as a group. I don't know who to be more annoyed at, the challenging bosses or the tons of enemies. Regardless, I was having a lot of fun figuring out the easiest way to take them down. Aside from G-Sophia's constant upgrades, Jason can equip various upgrades in the field. Typically, enemies are weakest to a few specific weapon types, so playing around with them is necessary. The game allows you to hotkey 2 weapons to your shoulder buttons along with your equipped weapon for 3 weapons to use at a time. I appreciated this as I constantly didn't need to go to the menu to switch my weapon type. However, the best move you'll need to perfect in the game is the blast counter, which is needed for dungeons and bosses alike. This appears as a target on an enemy's head after the attack, and with the press of a button, Jason will swing in and deal damage. This can also be chained together for multiple enemies. Interestingly, other characters will join Jason's cause, some of whom were enemies in the previous titles. These provide insights to the story to fill you in on the blanks, and they can even lend some of their power. You'll constantly be finding new ways to address combat, and that continues up until the very end. However, you'll want to travel back at some point to pick up items that you may have left behind. Blaster Master is a beautiful 2D action game. The level designs, explosions, and dialogue sections all retain that classic look, and it's probably the best it's ever been in this entry. The music supplements this adventure during every moment as you fight your way through. While the challenge is kept high for a reason, I believe the save system needs a lot of work. Players can interact with checkpoints of the game. However, the first interaction with the checkpoint will save the state of your current game, and you cannot re-interact with that checkpoint. This is pretty bad design since you can't, say, clear out a room of items before a difficult section, save it, and then take on the hard part. Instead, you'll be stuck in a constant loop of collecting the items you didn't get before you touched the checkpoint as you keep dying at the challenging section, which makes the game wildly repetitive. I hope they make it so that checkpoints can be triggered every time you interact with it. Furthermore, the direction can be confusing in various sections when it's hard to distinguish if you are in the alternate dimensions or the real world, as some designs look strikingly similar. However, the map menu is competent after you understand it and typically lays out where you need to go. Blaster Master 03 is the perfect way to cap off this series for longtime fans. It's highly encouraged that you play the previous titles, given that the challenge here is significantly higher than those entries. This is a game that will test your 2D action skills to the fullest with unique upgrades for Jason and G Sophia SV through difficult platforming sections, dungeons, and bosses. However, as a reward, you'll be treated to an amazing finale of an over-the-top narrative about a man named Jason who followed a frog named Fred into a portal. Noisy Pixel is giving Blaster Master 03 an 8 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Please read the full review on noisypixel.net. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers who work hard to deliver news, reviews, previews, and more. Please subscribe to keep up with all our feature content.
Noisy Pixel.